Let her call you, Lucy. All right, welcome to Help Desk with Joe, and I have with me, as always, Joe.
Where? Oh!
So, Joe with A&M Digital Technology, the producers of the show, Sina, his wife, behind in the background, producing the show. And as always, a topic to help people out, and this is a viewer-submitted topic.
Yes, it was, all the way from New Jersey.
New Jersey. So we got another winner for some prizes, and let's talk about today's topic.
This is a real big topic for a lot of people, especially now that summer's on. They're going to the cell phone store, getting their cell phone for themselves or their kids,
Yep.
whatever the case may be. And this is taking your regular cell phone and upgrading to a smartphone.
Yep. Smartphones. Whew. Makes me seem like a dumb phone owner because I struggle to utilize all the features on my smartphone.
Right.
But it is a different world versus a regular cell phone. So let's start off with if, the average Joe.
Yeah.
The average Joe walks up to you on the street and says, Joe, I'm looking to upgrade to a smartphone. I understand people are telling me that's what I need. Tell me why I need it. What purposes would you upgrade to a smartphone for?
Well, just the advantages, the add-on stuff that you have with the smartphone, the capability of not only, using the basic features of calling and texting and all that, but when you're driving, that can be your GPS.
Yep, so you're right. When we talked about that on the last show, your phone is a GPS unit. We threw some other stuff out there, email, watching videos,
playing games,
using Skype. I mean, there's a whole variety of things you can do with a smartphone.
It's almost a little computer in your pocket.
Yeah, I agree. So if someone comes to you, that's the first thing you'll want them to know is what the purpose they're going to use that phone for to help them better pick the right phone.
Right.
And then that leads us to providers.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, when you're purchasing any phone, whether it's a regular cell phone or a smartphone, it's always best to pick your provider first. Find out which cell phone provider works best in your area, because you don't want to go to the store and pay out the money for the phone for one provider, and then, that doesn't work right at your house. It'd be better to have the other one.
Right. So at your house, where you work, figure out where you have good reception.
Right.
I know in some areas of Roane County where we live, AT&T runs down one of the roads, and Verizon runs down another.
Right.
So if you're on the opposite ends of that, you're just out of luck.
Right.
So as you said, you're going to shell out some money for this service. You might as well have the benefits of using it.
Right.
Okay. Are there any differences in your mind, any that you feel are better or worse?
It's all based on location.
Just location, straight
personally,
location.
I use Verizon, and that's just because the signal's better at my house.
Yep.
And I do have Verizon and AT&T signal available, but for data speeds, 3G is available at Verizon.
Right.
So
And
I just
AT&T's
stay with
not yet.
Verizon.
Okay, so get a friend, get a pal, somebody to come by with both and see where you have good service on.
Plus, you can go to the cell phone providers' websites, and they actually have maps of your
mapped
area
out, yep.
to see what kind of options are available.
All right, so now that you should know what provider you want. You should have an idea of what purpose you're really going to use your phone for.
Right.
What type of phone?
Well, now here's where it's real interesting, because you hear people, well, I'll go with this because it's the best. No, that one, I wouldn't use that one if I had to. There's all kinds of options. Your biggest players are Apple, Android, Windows Phone, and BlackBerry in that order.
Right. You want to just talk about each of them in that order then, about what their, I'll say, best features are?
Well, with the Android and Apple, they've kind of pretty much cornered the market, per se. It used to be years ago when smartphones first started coming out, it was BlackBerry dominating the market.
Right. I know a lot of people, business-oriented, wanted BlackBerry because of the email capabilities and the email, I'll say format. I don't know if that's the right word, but the way the email come up for you and the ease of use.
Right.
So they kind of had that business person that's going to have a BlackBerry.
Right.
That's changed.
Right. Apple came along and just blew everything out of the water.
Right.
So then Android came along and it's actually a real good competition for them. Well, BlackBerry said, oh, it's just a fly-by-night operation. It won't last. Well, BlackBerry's now had to play catch-up.
Yep. Okay. So what would you say for the business person? What advice would you have for them? If they came to you and said, I need help picking a phone, I'm mainly going to use it for my business, where would you throw them at?
At this point, what are you comfortable with? You know, go to the store and see what's available and try them all. Because right now, nowadays, as far as email capabilities, all that, they're pretty much the same. But if you work for a large company, see what their recommendations are, because I know working with the hospital, we have certain security policies in place that if you're going to buy an Android phone, it has to be run at least this version of Android, an iPhone,
Right.
or and vice versa, whatever the case may be. You know, your company may have to have a separate piece of hardware to support your type of phone, and they may not support it because that's an extra additional cost on their end.
Right. So talk with the business technology person.
Right.
And find out what capabilities you'll need. Okay, and I know I have an Android phone, and then you have the iPhone.
Right.
And comparably do a lot of similar things. Do you have an opinion either way? Does it really matter?
Not really. It's just the Android, there's a lot more different varieties of phones.
Right.
iPhone, you have what Apple sends out once a year.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay.
And with the Microsoft phones, you have the same options. There's a lot of different manufacturers that are pushing out their type
Right.
of running the Microsoft operating system. So you have a lot more flexibility on choosing the device, whereas Apple, you get what they tell you want.
Yeah, you get just that line of phone and that's
Right.
it. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people like the Apple. The advantage to the Apple is you have the iStore or
The iTunes Store.
iTunes Store and a lot of capabilities that are specific to Apple.
Right.
What do you think? What draws you to the Apple?
Just ease of use from my end. Before I purchased my iPhone, I had an iPod. So if you have an iPod or an iPad, or iPod Touch or an iPad, go with the iPhone. I mean,
Right.
It's almost just comes second nature to you.
Right,
at that
you're
point.
used to that system.
Right. And I purchased an Android tablet, and it was a learning curve. I'll admit.
Yeah.
Going from Apple, from going run it this way, and then pretty much flipping it upside down, shaking it around. Well, that's Android. Well, once I figured out how to work it, I'm comfortable in either environment. It's just
Right.
how big of a learning curve you want to go against.
Yep, and you have to work on both, so I know you have experience with both.
Right.
Now, myself, I have an Android phone. I had the opportunity to upgrade to iPhone or not, and I chose not to.
Right.
Because, as you said, I'm already familiar with that, so it was fine.
And the funniest thing is, from my perspective, I think the iPhone's easier. I had a customer who had an iPhone, hated it.
Yep.
They went and upgraded to an Android. They said, "Oh, I should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing ever." And I thought, now, how's that work? Because in my mind, Android's a lot more quirky to work with, but with them, it worked. So
once you get the patterns down, just like using a computer. Once you get that itinerary down, you're good to go.
Right.
Once you figure out the maze, it takes a little bit either way. But I think, as you said earlier, upgrading from a cell phone to a smartphone is going to have a learning curve either way.
Right.
It's just a matter of preference.
Right.
And I agree with you. I think if you, the best advice you can take away from that part is go try them out.
Right.
Look at our friends. Everybody knows somebody's got an iPhone.
Right.
And on the same hand, they'll know somebody has a Droid.
Right.
Or
Try actually
BlackBerry.
sit down and play with it and try it out. Don't go on based on I can't say you have to go get an iPhone or you have to get an Android because I really don't know.
And don't go to the store because by golly, you don't get enough time to play with them in real time to see.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's nice is with a lot of the cell phone providers, they actually do with a 14-day trial. You can take the phone, use it for 2 weeks, and if you don't like it, you can switch it out.
Yeah.
Just check and make sure what their policy is on that before you sign up.
And I think you only get one switch. That makes it a little iffy.
That's what I'm saying. Check the policy.
Yeah. So find a friend. You'll have a friend somewhere. Bump into somebody in the grocery store. Borrow theirs for a couple minutes. Play on it.
Just be careful who you bump into in the grocery store.
Find Joe and borrow his.
Yeah.
Okay. So once they figure it out, let's assume they come in and they said, okay, I'm going to use it for work, or I'd like to have the capabilities of using it for work. I want to also be able to use GPS, all that. I'm going with Verizon. I'm going to go with an iPhone. What options do they have to choose, like phone size and so forth? Because I know iPhone still has older models you can still get that work just fine through the features. What would you tell them about screen size? And I know that's kind of a bigger deal on Android, so maybe go that way. Or how would you like that to go?
Well, with the iPhone 4 and the 4S, I can show you the size. This is what the size you're dealing with. The iPhone 5 is just a hair taller.
Yep.
With Android, since they're open and market to many manufacturers, they have all kinds of different sizes.
Yeah, let me grab my phone here real quick. Just to give you an idea, and I think that's a Galaxy 3.
Yes, Galaxy S3, and see just that alone, it's just about the same size of an iPhone 5 would be.
Yep.
But there's so many other manufacturers out there. On the Android side, some of the phones are getting so big they're calling them phablets. It's a phone. It's so big. It's too big to be a phone, but it's not big enough to be called a tablet. So I mean, they're getting that in between.
And if your age is 14 to 21, let me thank you. Phones are getting bigger.
Yes.
Drives me nuts because I grew up with the small flip phones that were easy to use, and worked fine.
Right.
And now we have to have big screens to play video games on and to watch YouTube videos, and it's crazy. They've blown up. They're hard to fit in your pocket. They don't make good cases for them.
Right.
Anyway, thank you, younger generation, for that. I went into the store and was like, I'd really like a small one. The guy's like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is pretty neat. I can read my emails. For someone that wore glasses or whatever, had vision problems, the screen big is huge.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And that's one of the great features with all the smartphones now is the handicap accessibility.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, someone that's completely blind, they can get the capability turned on, and a lot of people are recommending iPhones because of that.
yeah,
They said-
voice recognition, or
Yeah.
not recognition, but the voice activation.
Right.
Huge features.
Yeah.
Hands-free. The hands-free law went into effect now.
Yes, it did.
So it's easy to pick up your phone, hit the button, and then automatically call Joe.
Right. Or you don't have to pick it up. You can just Bluetooth it up, use a Bluetooth speaker and just talk into it. And
And do it that
transmits
route.
over.
So that makes it really easy. So talk a little bit about that then. If you're going with the Android model, the iPhone, you have a couple of choices. That's limited in your choices, but basically the same deal, a little bigger, a little smaller, Android-wise.
I would always go with the most recent operating system. Ask them at the store, what's the most up-to-date operating system, because you get a lot of what they call the free Android phones. Well, those more likely have the older operating system and are limited on your features. So if you want the full experience of the latest and greatest, get the most recent operating system, and then choose from there whether you want the lower end version of that phone or the higher end. And all you're paying for at that point is more horsepower under the hood.
Right. And then if would you recommend someone go ahead and spend the money to get that better phone? What would keep you from doing that? Why would you tell someone don't go and spend a couple $100 extra buying a bigger, better phone versus their needs?
Budget.
Just budgetary?
Just budgetary at that point.
Okay. Anything else they would need to know if they're going to pick out that phone? We've covered what purposes they may have, what provider fits them for their home and their workspace, what type of phones they're looking at, and then the screen size and their needs all tied into one.
Right. One other thing is with the smartphones, one thing that they make you purchase that you may not already have with your cell phone plan is a data plan.
Yes, that's true. Cost will come into effect.
Right. There's an additional cost with the data plan.
For all those great features, you got to pay more each
Right.
month.
And with the data plan is capabilities, if there's anybody that doesn't know what that is, that's where you can have internet, access to internet while you're on the road or wherever off the cell phone towers.
Right.
And with that, AT&T, Verizon, they used to have unlimited plans, well, they don't anymore.
Yep.
So if you're a new customer, you have to buy what they call a cap, where you're limited to up to so much per month. And you're truly not limited. You can still use more, but they'll really charge you for it after
charge
that.
you for it, yeah.
But
So,
then you can use things like Straight Talk, providers like that, where they set a flat rate,
Yeah.
where you have unlimited, text, voice, and data all in one
Yeah.
package.
and that's something you're right. If you buy a smartphone, you have to have the data plan.
Right.
No way around it. So you're going to pay that extra money, and I don't know, roughly $50 a month, somewhere
Roughly,
in that neighborhood.
at least $30 additional per month.
Yep. So that's an additional above the cell phone
Right.
plan. Then you pay the data.
Unless you
plan.
go with something like Smart Talk, a flat rate, $45 a month, and you get unlimited everything.
Does Smart Talk work very well in our area? I don't even know.
I believe so. It runs off the AT&T signal, so if you have good AT&T signal, it'll work great.
Smart Talk. Okay. So if you have any questions, and again, you've covered a lot of stuff there. Purpose, what you want to use your phone for. If it's just general stuff, GPS, texting, and so forth, you might not need a higher end phone. If it's business wise, check with your business tech person.
Right.
Email, Skyping. Which is kind of cool. If you don't know what Skype is, explain that a little bit. That might
Skype
be.
is a video-to-video chat,
Yep.
where you can actually use audio like you're talking on telephone, but you can actually set a webcam up like we're doing and actually have someone on the other end and have them with their webcam on and be sitting there having a face-to-face chat.
And I've done that with my family in New Jersey before. I've taken my phone and actually turned the Skype on, and I have 3 kids, and we sit there and each kid kind of talks to the phone and
Right.
Sees video of New Jersey. So
Right.
it's kind of neat to kind of use that a little
So
bit.
you're able to stay in contact even though you're not sitting in the
Yep.
same room.
And it's great for business. We use it a lot for our business.
Right.
At our daycares and stuff, someone can say, well, I'm looking at this and I'm not sure, and trying to describe something over the phone is craziness.
Yeah.
You can do Skype now and take your phone and just say, it's right here, I'm looking at it.
I actually had a customer, their son was living out in California, and this was their first Christmas without their son, being within the state.
Right.
So they had us come in, we set their computer up in the living room, loaded up Skype, so there was Christmas morning,
Talking to him, yeah.
they were sitting there talking to him, acting like they was in the same room with him.
Yep.
They said it was great. It was almost like he was really there.
Oh, yeah.
Which in a way he was, but it was still great. They
Yep.
went ahead and shipped everything, all his presents out there.
Right. So they got to have that real-time conversation
Right.
and video.
Right.
And he probably didn't eat near as much.
Yeah.
Being there. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So lots of features that you can pack into these. Figure out your type of phone you want.
Right.
Again, shop around, look at your friends' phones, figure out what you want. And I would highly suggest you just don't go based on the hype.
Right.
Because you'll have somebody in your family that says, "Oh, do the iPhone because it's the coolest."
Right.
Don't base it on that. Base it on what you feel most comfortable with. I
Right.
think you covered that earlier. Figure out what you're comfortable with and go that route.
Right.
And then screen size and needs and phones. I don't know. That's a pretty good load of information. So
Right.
the average cat can come talk to you and get all that and figure out what they best need.
Right.
So if they want to get a hold of you, what do we do?
They can give us a call at our offices at 304-927-3588 or visit our website at amdigitaltechnologies.com.
All right. And then if you're me, friend you on Facebook.
friend us on Facebook.
Get those daily specials. I like them. I got a family member to buy a security camera system off of you. Got a great sale, great price on it. 4-camera system for their home.
Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. I just waited till that daily special come around and jumped on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Friend them on Facebook and check out those daily specials. You have Norton Antivirus on there. I see that sometimes.
We have laptops, desktops.
Yeah,
If it
it's
plugs
a
in,
variety of
yeah,
stuff.
if it's a plug-in or accessory like these cases for the cell phones, we sell it.
Yep, and that's the cool part is sometimes you'll think, wow, boy, that is a good idea and I could really use it.
Yeah.
But you don't get that idea until you see it come across the daily special.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, cool. So A&M Digital Technology, again, sponsoring our program here, working with our kids and our students, giving back to Roane County, a local business owned by Joe and his wife Cena, and Cena behind the scenes producing the show. We'll wave to Cena. And you cover a ton of topics. So anything tech related, go back through the archives, check it out on iTunes. You're doing podcasts now.
Right. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube.
Ustream and Facebook.
Yeah.
So you get the whole gamut of stuff. If you have
Just when
any
you
questions.
just when you think you can get rid of us, here we are again. somewhere else.
Yeah. So any questions, any topic, we might have covered it previously. If not, submit it. The person that submitted this gets
They get a free iTunes card.
nice. And I've seen you give away $50 to $100 worth of stuff.
Right.
Pretty cool stuff. So submit those questions, get them in via Facebook, email, phone call, whatever you need to do. Get those questions in. Next week, I hear you did an interesting experiment that was kind of around the turn of trying to tear up Cena's stuff.
Yes. And the scary part of it was actually she wanted to do it, so that's even scarier.
All right. The only thing, you didn't invite me over because we can smash some stuff, set some stuff on fire. It's all good.
Well, it is, but the only thing is, I think with her volunteering, it's actually going to cost me more money, so I'm kind of leery.
I'm all right with that. That doesn't bother me a bit.
I know it's not.
We'll all laugh and have a great time.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have a great show coming up next week. I'm really excited about it. I heard some of the details, so we'll just hint at it and leave it a little smash and bash.
Yeah.
So tune in next week, and again, this is Help Desk with Joe, and with me, Joe, from A&M Digital Technologies. And as always, this show is sponsored and hosted, as are all our shows, by A&M Digital Technologies. So when you need something technology, call these folks, because they're local, they support our local stuff, they support our local kids. You guys just came back from 4-H camp, from
Yes.
volunteering your time, back in the technological world and fixing stuff and tearing stuff up.
Yeah,
so.
and we actually brought this idea to the 4-H camp, and the kids loved it.
Oh, I'm sure that digital natives now. All kids now are born thinking that you automatically have a cell phone.
Yeah.
When I grew up, there was no such thing.
No.
So it's kind of crazy, but awesome. All right, well, great job. And again, if you have any questions, you need to get a hold of them. Call Joe and Cena at A&M Digital Technologies. They'll fix you up and help you out. And we'll see you next week with our Smash and Bash show.
There you go.
I'm excited. All right, see you next week.
Thank you.